One of the few things that could have changed the entirety of the Align continuity was Grimlock going back to Iacon. He could have been a part of so many things, not only just the arc, but possibly even more events leading down the road, including Transformers Prime. And today we're going to explore that possibility, and well, here's how we do it. Let's begin. So, our conversation with Optimus and Grimlock take place as it originally did. Grimlock and, Optimus both talk to each other, they address the space bridge, but instead of Grimlock arguing with Optimus, he takes a look at Snarl. He's beaten up, he's hurt from his torture from Sharpshot, and Grimlock's compassion for his teammates is actually what guides him here, what changes him here. And so he tells Optimus that he is going to need an evac, considering they are in the heart of Kaon, or at least close to it in the Sea of Rust. Optimus understands this and says he will send a rendezvous, or a, rescue team, or an evacuation team, if you will, with Jazz, Cliffjumper, and Sideswipe, but Grimlock has to make his way there, to which Grimlock says he'll handle it. So this changes a few things here. Number one, Shockwave gets to keep his arm. And without the space bridge being destabilized, this leads to many different things here. However, we then have to address another thing. The Dinobots escape here. Knowing that Megatron would likely have a ship of his own, Grimlock and the Dinobots do make their way through Kaon, massacring everything. Just Grimlock and Slug, as Swoop is carrying Snarl to safety. They're making their way through, fighting against Marauders, Decepticon destroyers, shotgunners, and everything. They are pretty much caught off guard here when it comes to the Dinobots here, as they did not know they even existed at this point. Remember, the only people who really knew of their existence was really Shockwave and a few minor scientists and, well, the Decepticon troopers that were there. Megatron doesn't know about this, and well, with him, in all honesty, just being caught off guard by this, I think he would definitely send everything he has at the Dinobots here. And this is where I would have Barricade being the one to kind of lead the charge here. You see, Barricade communicates with Megatron that these Dinobots, or these Autobots specifically, are just way too powerful for them. To which Megatron says, under no circumstances are you allowed to let them reach the Nemesis. To which Grimlock overhears this and grabs Barricade by the throat, catching him completely off guard here. And he begins to interrogate Barricade, crushing his throat slowly. And Barricade does confess. He does tell him that they have a ship known as the Nemesis, and that, they're going to use it to leave Cybertron and conquer another world. However, Grimlock just gets enough information out of him, and he crushes Barricade like a tin can, just killing him instantly. So that adds another Decepticon kill to Grimlock's track record here. However, he's not done just yet. He orders Slug to push through and to maintain a decent distance with Snarl and Swoop here, to which Swoop asks Grimlock where he's going, to which Grimlock says he's going to give the Autobots a better chance. And this is where I would have Grimlock again tear his way through a different section of Kaon, making his way to the Nemesis. And as he does here, he obviously is met by Megatron. So Grimlock and Megatron actually do have a little bit of history that should connect them together here. They both were gladiators in the pits of Kaon, both top tier gladiators, by the way. And this is where I would have them kind of square off. And well, this is where I would actually give Megatron his classic G1 fear of Grimlock here. Yes, he's brave. Yes, he'll fight him when it comes down to it. But more often than not, Megatron's not going to risk a direct encounter with him. And that's how it always was in G1. And in this kind of situation, I think it's much worse. Grimlock is not only intelligent, but he's also got the fighting skill of a gladiator. And Megatron is also a skilled gladiator. However, the difference is Grimlock's rage, due to Shockwave's experimentation, makes him stronger. And having that in the fight with someone who still is able to fight at a gladiatorial level, it's not going to look well for Megatron here. I wouldn't have Megatron get killed off here. No. It's too early for that here. However, the beating that Megatron receives here is savage. It's brutal, and it's unlike anything he's ever encountered before. Yes, he got crushed by Metroplex, but again, you have to understand, that was simple. This here is methodical. It's tactical. It's like a surgical knife going right through your body, cutting all the right areas to make sure you feel each and every cut without dying immediately. That's how Grimlock is beating Megatron down. It even gets to the point where Grimlock doesn't even use his sword and shield and starts just putting straight hands on Megatron. And he throws him through the Nemesis, busting him through the bottom of the ship all the way to the top of it, causing the ship to kind of almost implode on itself a little bit. But again, it's not fully, destroyed entirely. Still need the Nemesis in the series, right? And, well, Megatron is kind of left in an area where he's broken, beaten, and humiliated even. He can't get up, he can't move, until he's rescued by Soundwave and Thundercracker. And, well, that's where we leave it off with just Megatron. Grimlock makes his way back to the group here and regroups with Jazz, Cliffjumper, and Sideswipe, who, in this one, have the body of Sludge. You see, I would actually say they came across Sludge's body in this one, because here's how I think what happened, right? Remember, Sludge's body was in the sewer, and, well, he simply I actually have it say here that he just simply floated up after it was flooded. Considering he was still alive and now he's no longer trapped in, in that area, they managed to get him back and, well, at least attach his arm again. However, he is still in a stasis lock. And this is where they all make their way back to Iacon on a transport here. But now, let's go back to Decepticons. Megatron is being repaired by any of his Decepticon medics. I don't even think it was emphasized who his Decepticon medical was, but let's say Shockwave arrives, right? Keep in mind, again, Shockwave doesn't lose his arm. He doesn't get badly and brutally injured by Grimlock, meaning that it's very possible he may look different in Transformers Prime. He may be a bit more slender and not combat orientated as he should be. But I think I know a way where we can actually get that here. So, hear me out, right? Shockwave is the one repairing Megatron. And, well, this is where it kind of gets out that the Dinobots were Shockwave's experiments. However, due to Starscream, he did not expect him to release the Dinobots. And this is where Megatron actually hunts down Starscream, has him be brought before him by his own brothers, Skywarp and Thundercracker, who are still loyal to Megatron. Remember that. And, well, this is where Starscream pleads for his life, pleads for his case, saying that he was a fool. However, he did state that he thought Megatron was dead originally. He thought the Titan had killed him. He was only doing what his role was. And believe it or not, I think this groveling would get through to Megatron. Now, you might say, why am I having this scene here? And, well, we kind of have to understand here. I am still going to connect this to Transformers Prime. And Starscream does need a reason to be back on the Decepticon side other than him just kind of being there. So this kind of explains how Starscream is still with the Decepticons, despite the sheer fact that in Fall of Cybertron, he was on his own. So, with that being said here, we're just going to have that scene here. And, well, we're also going to have something else here. Shockwave gets beaten down by Megatron badly. This is his punishment for creating something that, well, not only thrashed Megatron, but crippled his chances of leaving the world here. And I think Shockwave would understand and take this beating. And again, it would be a logical beating. Shockwave messed up badly, in the worst way possible. He couldn't control his experiments. And so from now on, Megatron now has him on reparations, that he used to report every experiment he does to him, whether he's on Cybertron or not. And this is where I would definitely have Shockwave then leave to repair himself and upgrade him into the body that we see him in Transformers Prime. So that's how it would have actually happened. It's a punishment, but yet it's a reward because Shockwave being like that because of his encounter with the Dinobots now becomes he's like that because his beating was so bad from Megatron that, well, he kind of needed a new body. So, back to the Dinobots here. As they all make their way to the Ark, Sludge is fully rebuilt and given whatever energon he can to actually put himself together. However, he awakens feeling different. He doesn't know why, but he knows he feels a little bit different. This is where Ratchet pretty much explains to him, well, so were your friends. So he decided that since he didn't want to feel left out, or he probably didn't want to feel left out, he gave him his new Dinobot form. To which again, Sludge is confused. Dinobots? To which Grimlock says yes, that is their new name here. And each one of them transforms into their Dinobot stage here. However, Grimlock can't, because again, he never overwrote Shockwave's programming in this timeline as well here. So again, everything he's been doing has been in his robot mode up until this point here. And this is where I would actually have him and Optimus finally have a one-on-one conversation about the beginning of Fall of Cybertron, about why Grimlock left his post. And this is where we actually get that one-liner. Optimus, you're weak. You run when you're supposed to fight. He took it upon himself to go and get that energon, or to discover why the Decepticons were always so fresh, always acting like they didn't have any worry about their supplies. And this is where I kind of think he and Optimus would reach an understanding. But again, there is still a bit of that iffiness between them. Because one of the few things that was emphasized in Fall of Cybertron and the Aligned continuity in general is that Grimlock and Optimus respected each other, but they never understood their respective, I guess you could say, roles or personalities. Grimlock is aggressive, straightforward and to the point. He sees something, he needs to get it right then and there. Optimus is reserved. He's defensive, and he wants just enough to not only defend himself and his Autobots, obviously, but just to make sure they have enough to get through to the next day. To which I actually think these two would reach that kind of understanding to where they both care for their cause. They both care for fighting for the right thing, but they're just so different about it. And they know they're going to have to work their way through it here. Back to the Decepticons, however, Megatron's putting everything into these operations here. And, well, in all honesty, I don't think it's really going to work out that well. I would actually say the Decepticons actually leave Cybertron through a different way. They now have to make their own smaller ships, or basically use their smaller ships to navigate through the stars. But I do think that Megatron would still stay behind on Cybertron. And, well, this is where I would have the ending of Fall of Cybertron played differently. Megatron feels angry. He feels angry, but more ambitious now. With Shockwave's technology and with a lot of the Insecticons actually being a help here, he's able to rebuild the Nemesis and a bit more reinforced than before here. However, due to its damage, Trypticon will never ever see the light of day again, as during the fight with him and Grimlock, Grimlock threw him through the spark chamber, which is why it caused so much damage, meaning that Trypticon is effectively offline until further notice. However, Megatron is able to rebuild, and as usual, Metroplex sacrifices himself to fuel the Ark. It's unfortunate, but he has to go. So, with that being said here, the Autobots that choose to remain on Cybertron, choose to remain on Cybertron. Meanwhile, Optimus, Grimlock, and a few other Autobots leave. Now, this is where I would also have something different happen. Grimlock's team stays under the command of Ultra Magnus, as Grimlock orders them to keep fighting here. while he helps Optimus hopefully find different refuge or for whatever he's looking for amongst the stars. And the Dinobots obey this to a T. They're not going to defy Grimlock's orders. And with that being said here, Grimlock takes off with Optimus in the Ark along with the rest of the other Autobots. And well, they take advantage of Shockwave's open space bridge here. However, little do they know that the Nemesis is right behind them. And well, we get the part of Follow Cybertron. We get the very end of the game here. However, something different happens here. Instead of Jazz going to fight Bruticus by himself here, Grimlock is right beside him. And this is where we kind of get a different ending to Fall of Cybertron here. We have Optimus taking on Megatron. We have Grimlock and Jazz going against Bruticus here. And this is where, in all honesty, it kind of goes a bit differently here. Grimlock is able to go toe-to-toe with the Combiner, biting him, tail whipping him, and everything here. He's doing the best he can here. However, it's when Jazz finally gets on top of him and starts blasting Bruticus's head, Grimlock is fully able to, well, go full-on T-Rex mode and burn him. This means that, well, Bruticus may actually just die here. However, we'll say that the space bridge does become unstable regardless, actually causing Bruticus to simply get flung off the ship and he falls right back towards Cybertron. And this is where Grimlock actually finds out from Ratchet that Optimus is taking on Megatron by himself, and he rushes to Optimus. And well, in this one, I would actually have Optimus lose the fight like in the video game, where if you choose Megatron, you beat Optimus. However, before Megatron can strike the final blow, he is blocked by Grimlock and his Energon Blade. Megatron is frustrated now, as Grimlock helps up Optimus, and the two of them proceed to beat down Megatron together, sending him flying through the space bridge. However, due to the space bridge's instability, they all go tumbling through. And that's where I would leave it off here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe, and share it to friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I'll see you guys for part 2. Peace.